My name's Jenna Sucre. I've been working for the past 10 years as an educator at an international school in Panama. Through this time, I've been in a variety of different positions. I've worked as a teacher's aide, I've worked as the elementary librarian, and I've taught 2nd, 4th, 5th, and 6th grade. This last year, 2022 to 2023, was the first time I'd taught 5th and 6th grade, along with my co-teacher. She taught some core subjects and I taught the others. I was feeling extremely overwhelmed by the weight of all of the responsibility that comes with the job. So as soon as I heard about the 40-hour teacher workweek, I knew I needed to join. I was very grateful to join the July 2022 cohort of the 40-hour teacher workweek. I wanted to share some of the tips that I learned from the 40-hour teacher workweek with you to help save your sanity in the same way that my sanity has been saved. When I started teaching, I used to have a classroom job for everybody. And I had everybody rotating the jobs each week so that everybody got a chance to do every job. That meant I had a lot of really useless busy jobs. The students would constantly have different busy jobs that they never really learned how to do. Their jobs didn't really help me out, and it ended up being another task on my plate to make sure that the jobs were rotated in the right order on the right day. Before the year was even halfway over, I decided that I hated classroom jobs, and I ended up just kind of dropping it. Every year that I tried to start doing the classroom jobs, it ended up being the same thing. I would start out really excited and then it would just fizzle out as I realized the work that it was causing me. So when I was listening to the podcast on the 40-hour teacher workweek about classroom jobs, I was extremely skeptical, but Angela made some very good points. The first being that students should apply for the jobs that they wanted, and then they should keep their jobs for a period of time, and I should only have jobs that would actually be helpful. I figured, these are some good points, so I can try it. If I hate it, I'll just drop it like I've done every other time. By having students apply for jobs, they were doing jobs that they actually wanted to do. And part of the thing was keeping them doing the jobs for a while, but I did allow them to quit their jobs after a certain period of time if they really didn't like it, which would give somebody else a chance to do that job to see if they liked it better. Through the entire school year, not a single student quit their job. They learned to do the job really well. It became part of their habit. And if anybody did forget, the other classmates were very quick to remind them. Little tedious things no longer took up any of my time or brain space. Things like changing the date, writing assignments on the board for students to copy into their agenda, erasing the board when I was finished with the lesson, passing out supplies, turning lights on and off when I was using the projector or not, managing supplies and running errands, going to the printer, taking notes to other teachers or the nurse, and sorting homework. I had just a little list next to the tray where students would turn their work in. That was the order that I needed to put grades into the grade book. I chose one very responsible student to have them sort the homework just in the order of the names. It made grading so much easier because I didn't have to go through that little time stealing task. And of course, I had to have substitutes in case somebody was gone, so I had 2 substitutes to cover all of my bases. Having the students doing jobs that they wanted to do, jobs that would actually be helpful for me, made all the difference. I don't know what I was thinking 10 years ago when I thought every student needed to try every job, but I'm telling you, this is the way to go. So speaking of jobs that matter, Grading papers as a second grade teacher and as a sixth grade teacher were extremely different monsters to tackle. Grading feels non-stop and never ending. Maybe some of you have already figured this out, but it took me until this year to really get it. Selective grading. Selective grading means that you don't actually have to grade everything. You can grade just the even numbers. You could grade just the odd numbers. You could grade the first half of an assignment or the second half. You could do part of it together and grade the rest that they do on their own. You can go around grading while students are working on it, and that way, when they turn it in, you only have to grade what's left. You could even do a completion grade if it's something that you did together in class. You could grade certain pages of packets instead of the whole thing. It was amazing to me to discover this, and so I wanted to share with you. You should also really only grade what's required by your school. If there are no requirements, aim for about 2 grades a week. It seems so obvious now, but it's been surprisingly one of the hardest habits to break. I'm still working on it, I guess, but getting it out of my mind that if they do it, I have to grade it. And realizing that it's okay to check over for understandings without giving a formal grade. In the 40-Hour Teacher Workweek, Angela suggests using stamps or notes saying done together in class or checked but not graded, so that parents would understand, like, why doesn't this paper have a grade on it? They would say, oh, you did it together in class, okay. So it doesn't need a grade if you did it together in class. It should all be right, hopefully. Another thing that you can do to reduce your grading is have students self-check. Not on everything, but on some things you can have them self-check. You can set up an area in the classroom that has the answer key and some special pens with colors or styles that students wouldn't have. No pencils are allowed in the grading area. Students take their paper when they're finished and go check it over with the special pens, correcting their mistakes. It's so much easier to skim over a paper that's already graded than having to fully grade everything yourself. The first time I did the self-check, the kids swarmed. They were so happy to have immediate results. It allowed me to keep going around helping students who were struggling, and it allowed me to have a chance to talk to them and help them understand why they missed something that they missed if they weren't sure about it. In addition to classroom jobs that matter and selective grading, the final tool I would like to share with you from the 40-Hour Teacher Workweek is batch planning. It took me a while to really get it down, but now that I have, I can never go back to the way I used to plan. Batch planning means that you take 1 or 2 long sessions of planning and you plan for a select time period, not just 1 week. You plan for a month, or a unit, or another set period of time that makes sense for you. You need to be extremely intentional in this time, but it's so worth it. You get to go through the time period without needing to think about planning. As you approach the end of the time period, you set aside another long period or 2 to do the planning for the next unit or month, or whatever time period it is that makes sense for you. At the beginning of school this year, and unfortunately for the last 9 years before, I was making lesson plans 1 week at a time. Sunday nights would often end up in a panic because I still didn't know what I was doing the next morning. Now, thanks to batch planning, I know what I'm doing a month ahead, or a unit ahead, or even a quarter ahead even. That means that I have more time to focus on the selective grading. It means I have more time to focus on my children. It means I have more time to focus on my husband. It means I have more time to spend with my parents on the weekends. It means no more Sunday night panic. Batch planning has been one of the greatest tools I've learned. It takes a long time at the very beginning. Remember that, okay? You're taking 1 or 2 long sessions to plan ahead for a long period of time so that you don't have to think about it each week. If you are anything like I was, I hope that you've learned some new tips to help save your sanity too. Let's review. First, only use classroom jobs that will actually be helpful. Have students apply for the jobs that they want and keep them there long enough to learn the job well. Second, you don't have to grade everything. Choose parts of the assignment that will show whether the students understand the material or if they need further guidance. Remember, you only need to grade what's required for your district. And finally, work on batching your planning. 1 or 2 long sessions of planning now will free up your time for other more important things during the unit that you're on. These are just 3 of the amazing tools that I have learned through the 40-Hour Teacher Workweek that have helped save my sanity last school year and that I will continue to use for the rest of my teaching career.